Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, over 600 Nigerians homebound as they voluntarily accept the immediate evacuation offer of President Muhammadu Buhari in the wake of the cycle of violence against foreign nationals in South Africa. Federal government presents 2020-2022 medium-term expenditure framework to Nigerians as the public eagerly glean for a ray of hope on the horizon of the president's promise of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. Mixed fortunes trail the outcome of the election petitions judgment across the nation as tribunal sacks some lawmakers, but for others, it's victory. Welcome everyone to the program. We begin today with the federal government setting in motion the blueprint of the medium-term expenditure framework at a public presentation at the Ministry of Finance and National Planning headquarters today in Abuja. Well, we'll link with our economist, but we know our correspondent is there and will bring us more details on that. Let's talk to an economist, Dr. Boniface Chizie, for more insights on the 2020-2022 medium-term expenditure framework. We would like to thank you so much, Mr. Chizie, for joining us on the program. He joins us via Skype. Good to see you. Every budget year we have this. In your experience, why is this public forum presentation important? Hello, Mr. Chizie. If you can hear me, tell us, why is this forum important? But let's say what's happening elsewhere, and that's the process of airlifting Nigerians who want to leave South Africa voluntarily, which will begin on Wednesday, the 11th of September. This is following President Buhari's order of the immediate voluntary evacuation of the country's citizens who are willing to return home from South Africa following attacks on foreigners and foreign businesses. The president also gave the assurance that the federal government is prepared to collaborate with the South African government to find a solution to the involvement of a few Nigerians in criminal activities in South Africa. He further instructed the Foreign Affairs Minister to continue to engage with appropriate authorities on the concrete measures the South African government is expected to take. The decision is one of the key issues arising as the president received the report of his special envoy to South Africa, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai. Meanwhile, 640 Nigerians have voluntarily registered to return home from South Africa, and 2 planes are expected to bring them home. This is according to the chairman of the Nigeria Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, who disclosed this to journalists after a closed-door meeting with the Senate Committee on Diaspora at the National Assembly. She added as well that there are no plans to expel the South African High Commissioner from Nigeria and that the federal government will continue to demand compensation for Nigerians who have been attacked.
They're all going to get free emergency travel certificates. That's part of why there's a delay. So those that their visas and passports have expired will be getting emergency traveling certificates. And then when they come back, well, they went on their own, they're coming voluntarily. And they all belong to states and all that. On the part of government, we have the JIP program that will encourage them to enroll with, small-scale entrepreneurial programs that will encourage them to enroll with the Bank of the Industry, with the social investment program. So there are things that they can do. So we will make sure we have their details and work on that, but we'll still demand that South Africa needs to pay compensation for Nigerians in South Africa whose businesses have been destroyed. We know that 8 policemen have been charged to court for their involvement in killings of Nigerians in South Africa, and I think 4 more have been recently arrested. We are demanding that these investigations must end so that we can know exactly what is happening. Don't forget that also the woman that was killed that went for a conference, Ms. Elizabeth Chukwu, was still waiting for the results of the investigation. They promised us they will get us the results, and we're waiting for the results. And also there must be consequences for actions. If policemen or your people go out killing people that nothing happens to them, then it will continue to happen. So South Africa should continue to show the political will to talk to their people to put a stop to it.
Well, right now, the Chairman Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organizations, Senator Jibola Bashir, joins us from Abuja studio on the recent cycle of attacks on foreign nationals in South Africa. We'll also be joined by legal practitioner Lagi Innocent. First, my question is to you. Thank you so much, Senator Bashir, for joining us. And that is, what's your immediate reaction to the immediate voluntary evacuation of all Nigerians who are willing to return home, that order by the president?
Good afternoon. Actually, before the special envoy, that's the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, returned from South Africa, there have been efforts on the part of the Nigerian government to assess the situation based on information from the Union of Nigerians in South Africa and also the Nigerian High Commission. Based on the assessment, it was discovered that the matter actually go further than what is being seen superficially. There is a fundamental problem of enforcement of law and order by the South African government, which incidentally is affecting negatively not only Nigerians, but some other Africans in South Africa. And what a responsible government will need to do is to first and foremost look at what is the best way to ensure that the lives of our nationals, irrespective of where they are not put in danger. So what was first done was to do an assessment of the situation and discover that the problem is much more, endemic. There appear to be certain areas of South Africa that are not safe, not only for Nigerians, but for other African countries due to the peculiar problem of the South African society itself. So on that basis, it was agreed that Nigerians who voluntarily want to return back should be able to have a facility to be able to do so, and the government is doing its best to ensure.
I know you've said that, but like you've said, only yesterday, pictures of the aftermath of the attacks. If the South African government is actually unable to guarantee the safety of Nigerians, what does this portend? And this is especially those that won't want to willingly come back to Nigeria.
You see, even in the context of our own Nigerian society, we have had terrible experience in the past, although those things were in the past, when some Nigerians, even from some part of the country, will have to go back to their part of origin for the grant of security. As you know, one fundamental important obligation of a government is to ensure security of its citizens. So based on the assessment of security situation, it is felt that Nigerians who voluntarily want to return back to Nigeria should be allowed to return back. And that was further validated, even though decision had been taken on that as a preliminary measure. It was validated by the report from the special envoy, who I believe is somebody who has very fast experience in security and international diplomacy. So the decision is being taken in the best interest of our Nigerians and ensure that we'll be able to cut down the loss. The problem of South Africa is endemic, and it's also an overflow from the development of a new society after the breakdown of the apartheid, a society that is still battling with creating equal opportunity, particularly for the blacks in that society.
Let me talk to Mr. Lagi Innocent. This question is for you. Are we asserting ourselves as a country? Now, South Africa owes a duty to foreigners, and one that has been breached under international law, and this is what some international lawyers are saying. What are our chances?
Put it simply, if it has gotten to the point that Nigerians will be evacuated from South Africa because of the failure of the South African state to protect every other national except Nigerians, then for all intents and purposes, we're in a state of war with South Africa, and let nobody use rhetorics to hide that. There is completely a failure on the part of our government to react to the situation as it is. Nigerians are being attacked. Nigeria is therefore being attacked if we have to evacuate our citizens from another country because they are not safe, and the government is able to protect its own citizens, protect citizens of other nationals, and deliberately refuse to protect citizens of Nigeria, then we're in war with that country. Now, what diplomacy are we talking about? In war, there must be retaliative actions. Our government must be able to to take steps, war steps against South Africa. South Africa has taken against Nigeria. That is what this country owes its citizens at home. That is what this country owes its citizens internationally. That is what right this country has under the international law. So there is just no mincing words. In diplomacy, if we are not safe in South Africa, we are at war with South Africa. I don't think businesses of South Africa should be safe in Nigeria. I think if Nigerians can't live in South Africa, then South Africans have no right to be safe or to live in Nigeria. That is the condition. It has to be tit-a-tat. And to now sit down and say we will work it out with South Africans when our citizens are being killed simply means that this government doesn't care. And you see the insinuation of crimes committed by some Nigerians, which is the biggest insult we have. If a South African commits a crime in Nigeria, he doesn't get killed on the street. His businesses doesn't get burnt. We have a legal system that deals with all nationals, and it deals with them equally. Now, to sit down and mince words, discuss rhetorics, fly in and fly out while your country is being attacked, I really don't understand what this government think war is. Will it be when South Africa attacks the territory of Nigeria?
Hold on a moment. I'd like Senator Bashir to respond to some of the things that you said, your stand on the issue. Senator Bashir.
It's not my stand. I can only laugh at somebody sitting here and say that because there were such incidents in South Africa, and that means that there has been a state of war. I'm a good student of international law. I know what war is all about, and nobody prays that there should even be war at all between Nigeria and any other African country. You see, it is easier to, when you are in opposition, to try to flare up on emotions and flare up on such issues. For instance, I give you at the level of international economic issues are being raised. I think you should allow me to
talk about opposition. We are talking. You can't sit in the comfort of Abuja. I didn't talk about political parties. You are accusing me of being in opposition. You don't even know my political affiliation.
Calm down.
I didn't discuss
let's
it.
calm down.
This government is failing.
I think you should allow Senator Bashir to finish his comments. We're about to take a break. Crave your indulgence, so please be patient.
If you cannot be civil in this response to me, then I may have to leave the studio.
Of course,
this is a dialogue and discussion.
You're free to go.
And it should be based on you be able to respond. When
you discuss opposition, not me.
So
you brought
we have
in opposition.
two gentlemen, just a reminder again, two gentlemen who are talking about the issue, and that's with regard to the foreign attacks. The Chairman, Senate Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization, and also a legal practitioner. Hopefully, when they've calmed down, we'll come back to them on the issue. But still to come on the program, some lawmakers are retaining their seats, while others have been dealt a huge blow. More to come on the program. Join us again.